بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم ربنا أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي ربنا زدنا علما وعملا وإخلاصا يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر أولياءك في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها. اللهم انصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم ألف بين قلوبهم وأصلح ذات بينهم. اللهم سدد رميهم وسدد خطاهم وسدد راعيهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم فرج عنا وعن إخواننا في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها. اللهم نفس كربنا وكربهم وثبت أقدامنا وأقدامهم والطف بنا وبهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. وصل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وآله وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Okay, continue with a reading of Allama Iqbal's Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam, and we had stopped somewhere here. Let's start again. Okay, so probably we need to, where maybe. Okay, so what he's saying, okay, let's read from here. The paradox of Zeno is due to a wrong apprehension of space and time, which are regarded by Bergson only as intellectual views of movement. It is not possible to develop here the argument of Bergson without a full treatment of the metaphysical concept of life on which the whole argument is based. Bertrand Russell's arguments proceed on Cantor's theory of mathematical continuity, and which looks upon as one of the most important discoveries of modern mathematics. Russell basically discusses Zeno's paradoxes in his philosophy of mathematics, in principles of what was the book called? In his earlier book. So Russell probably discusses this issue. One place to look at is the history of philosophy, because I'm sure when he talks about Zeno there, he would have discussed the issue of Zeno's paradoxes, obviously. And the other book which I think he discusses the issue is, our knowledge of the external world. That's for sure he does there, on knowledge of the external world. And Russell discusses Zeno's paradoxes before he became aware of Cantor's work and after. So, and the third thing is in mysticism and logic, he might have something on there too, according to the editor of this book we are reading, editor of Allama Iqbal's book. But one of the key places is also his book on philosophy of mathematics. Just trying to recall the name. Yeah, apparently that's called Principles of Mathematics. That's his 1903 work. So he discusses that basically principle of mathematics and knowledge of the external world, and I think at least Zeno's paradoxes should be discussed in history of philosophy as well. I'm not sure whether and the treatment in principle written just before recent works on the principle of mathematics, so which contains a discussion of Zeno's argument, his Arrow's argument, and his Achilles argument. And that paper was that's the paper which was reprinted in Mysticism and Knowledge. Okay. Okay, so this is for Russell. So it is not possible to develop here. So Bertrand Russell's argument proceeds from Cantor's theory of mathematical continuity. What does he say on footnote? That's just a reference to an encyclopedia article on continuity by A.E. Taylor, the author of Metaphysics, I think. Which he looks upon, Cantor's theory of mathematical continuity, which he looks upon as one of the most important discoveries of modern mathematics. Okay. Zeno's argument is obviously based on the assumption that that's Allama Iqbal. Space and time consists of infinite numbers of points and instants. But those points or an instance discrete. They are not continuous in that sense. So Zeno's argument is obviously based on the assumption that space and time consists of an infinite number of points and instants. But the points and instants themselves are discrete. And that's where discontinuity comes in. On this assumption, it is easy to argue that since between 2 points, the moving body will be out of place, space consists of infinite number of points and instants. On this assumption, it is easy to argue that since between the 2 points, the moving body will be out of place, motion is impossible because place consists of these discrete points, and obviously time consists of discrete instants. For there is no place, that's in the physical sense, for this to take place. Zeno's argument is obviously based on the assumption. What is obvious in that? I'm not sure. Zeno's argument is obviously based on the assumption that space and time consist of an infinite number of points and instants. On this assumption, it is easy to argue that since between the 2 points, the moving body will be out of place, motion is impossible, for there is no place for it to take place. Okay. Cantor's discovery shows that not just that, but I think modern physics, at least pre-quantum physics, also think that space and time are continuous. So between any 2 points in space and time, between any 2 points in space, there is an infinite number of points. 2 points, there is infinite number of points. And in any infinite series, no 2 points are next to each other. No 2 points are next to each other. So the infinite divisibility of space and time means that the compactness of these points in the series, the compactness of the, it does not mean that points are mutually isolated in the sense having gap between one another. And then he goes on to say, Russell, quotes Russell 16. This is not, according to the editor, this is not Russell's own statement, but that of H. Wilden Carr made during the course of his expression of Russell's view on the subject. C. Wilden Carr, the general principle of relativity. That's the note from the editor of this book, Wilden Carr. Wilden Carr, according to Wikipedia, was a, I don't know him or his work, 1857, born 1857, 1930, a British philosopher. He was known for his reconciling Leibnizian monadology and Bergsonian vitalism. Monadology. Okay. And his publications on Bergson, The Philosophy of Change, The Problem of Truth, a lot of books. General Principle of Relativity, Leibniz. Carr was the advocate of Bergsonian vitalism, which he combined with monadistic idealism. In a symposium of the Aristotelian Society, he authored the idealistic interpretation of Einstein's theory, which declared that the theory was in complete accord with idealistic philosophy, not realism. So that's sort of appealing to Iqbal, these sort of ideas. That's why Iqbal probably would have attracted to his work. And so he is quoting Carr, so in a sense he has misquoted here. So, but Carr is summarizing. Carr is summarizing. Russell's ideas here. So space-time continues. Space-time are continuous. But here, we should remember that Zeno doesn't have only one paradox. He has many paradoxes. So I'm not sure whether Allama Iqbal had made this distinction. I don't remember that he has made the distinction between different arguments or paradoxes of Zeno. That's one thing. Anyway, his Cantor's discovery shows that the space and time are continuous, and Allama Iqbal basically here just summarizes what that means. Space and time are continuous means that any 2 point in space, there is an infinite point of number of points, and in any infinite series, no 2 points are next to each other. Like they are not discrete. The infinite, so this, in a sense, presupposes atomism or attribute atomism to Zeno. But on the other hand, atomists, on the other hand, it can be argued that atomists were actually responding to Zeno. Atomists were actually responding to Zeno. Responding to Zeno in the sense that for atomists, ancient atomists and Asharis as well, atom cannot be further divided. So if atom cannot be further divided, then there is no because Zeno had argued that if the magnitude, that's one of Zeno's arguments, magnitude can be divided into infinity, and it would be impossible for motion to occur because you would have to traverse infinite points in space and time in order for motion to be impossible, and that seems counterintuitive. Yeah. So that was his argument. So atomists were saying no, they can't be infinitely divided. So in a sense, atomists were responding to, or you could respond to atomists. You could respond to Zeno as an atomist and prove that motion was possible, and probably that's what Asharis were trying to do too. Yeah, Asharis were trying to do too. But this argument about space-time continuity in modern physics and Cantor modern mathematics argues that so they are not discrete. So this would basically, if atoms are discrete, there is always would be a gap, and that gap, what is there? That gap, if it can be divided, if that a gap is there, then you can't go from one place to another because there is a gap. And what Allama Iqbal says was there. What were his words? His words were, so he's saying that no 2 points are next to one another in the sense of they are not. I think this is another way of saying they are not discrete. And the infinite divisibility of space and time means the compactness. So they are continuous. So they are infinitely divisible, but since the points are not discrete, it's a continuum. Because points are infinitely divisible, and that's why the motion is possible. So in a way, atomists were responding to Zeno's infinity argument, but the people who are saying that it is infinite and continuous are responding to the gap argument or the discreteness argument, and that's what compactness is. And compactness is the function of infinity in there. Okay, and compactness here is a mathematical concept. A property of space or topological space, which generalizes Euclidean notion of space through set theory. Anyway, let's go back. So between the 2 points, there is an infinite number of points, and in an infinite series, there is no 2 points that are next to each other. The infinite divisibility of space and time means that the compactness of these points in a series, It does not mean that points are mutually isolated. It does not mean this in the sense of having gap between one another's. So this will obviously, if it is successful, be able to reply to the gap argument, but not all the paradoxes are based on the notion of gap. So even in that sense, it will be able to um, reply only to Zeno's paradoxes, which are based on the gap argument, if they are. Okay, and this is what space-time continuum mean in physics. Space-time continuous. That for us, space and time can be divided infinitely. That is, no gaps or discrete unit. That's what discrete units, which as an atomist you would have to live in discrete units. So essentially what you will form is a smooth, uninterrupted fabric where any point in space and time are connected to any point in space is connected to a point in time without encountering a break or a boundary, in a seamless continuum where every location and moment is connected. So you don't have any gap, you don't have any problem of how you are going to traverse that gap. Okay. And that is based on a mathematical model, but the concept is central to Einstein theory of space, theory of relativity. But it's also a mathematical model. But whether it also applied to quantum physics, at least some theories of quantum physics suggest that the states might be quantized on a very small scale, and if that is true, then that will reintroduce the gap problem. Okay, I think we should stop here, and next time we'll start from Zeno's task. How so this paragraph attributed to Russell, we will start from there, and then I'll talk about Russell's relationship with Cantor and Zeno's paradoxes as well. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وصلي وسلم على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وذريته أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين.